Hey everyone, it's Dana here with Love Sola Flowers, and we are here for a tutorial. I'm sorry it's so late, but I was having some technical difficulties. So I just got a new phone and it's huge and it like didn't fit in my ring light. So we are a little bit late and I apologize for anybody who was waiting. But we are gonna make some galaxy orchids. And if you don't know what a galaxy orchid is, you can Google it and you'll see some pictures. It's basically a mixture of some kind of tealy purples and blues. And it's a mixture, it is an actual orchid. And I am going to be using two sizes of orchids to show you today how to do it. The colors that I'm using, I did do a mix, but I'm going to show you kind of what kind of color scheme you're wanting. Hi, Martha. But we are still having our sale on lovesolaflowers.com, and it's up to 60% off on regular Sola flowers. Hi, Tracy. And the orchids I'll be using today are the regular Sola orchids. They're not the Fifth Avenue collection, but you could use either of them for this. I do like the look for the galaxy orchids. Hi, everyone. I do like the galaxy orchids to be on the regular in the regular raw flower category of orchids. So we're going to be using those. Again, our flowers are up to 60% off, and you're going to find our website at lovesolaflowers.com. I'm freezing? I'm not freezing like on my side. Anyone else am I freezing for? So that wasn't the type of technical difficulties I was having. I was just having difficulties because my phone was so big and my ring light couldn't hold it. I don't even know where the cat is. Facebook been freezing all over the place. Yeah, I mean, our internet was in and out, so maybe it's just something that's happening everywhere. Sorry if it freezes, but hopefully if you don't get to watch it live, that you'll be able to see it. Hey, Carla, you'll be able to see it on a replay without the freezing. Again, on my end, it doesn't see any freezing, so I'm not really sure. So, but hopefully we'll get through this and we'll make it through to get some of these painting stuff done. But I do like to do paintings with everybody because it's sometimes fun to do, but I actually got an order for some galaxy orchids and I thought, hey, I don't remember ever like teaching how to do this. So I thought it'd be a kind of a fun one to do. We do also have a group, a community group. That's facebook.com/groups/lovesolaflowers. Just remember that in that group, it is a part of this business page. So you're only going to be posting, about Love Sola Flowers in the group, and there's no tagging of any other companies or anything because we like to use that group as a way to show you how to use our product in different styles of decor or bridal bouquets and things like that. So join that group if you haven't. And here we're going to start. I'm going to show you step by step exactly what I'm doing. And we're going to show you the paint colors and everything else. I got my hair tangled in it. Okay, so again, I'm using the regular orchids, not the Fifth Avenue collection, but again, you can use the Fifth Avenue, but I do kind of like this style for the galaxy ones. Thanks, Tracy. Hi, Carrie. Okay, so what I have in here is water mixed with glycerin. Okay, so I just did, I put the water in my cup and I just went like that with the glycerin. I didn't measure it or anything, I just did. I always call it like a bloop because I don't really know how else to describe it, but I just do a little drop of it because this is what we're going to dip it in first, so that way you're going to get glycerin just from the very beginning, and that way you don't have to worry about the little paints having glycerin in them and trying to figure out how to do a teeny tiny drop for these teeny tiny little cups that I've got going on. So you're going to put your glycerin and water first. This is a 3-inch one. You're going to need a paper towel or a napkin. And what we're going to do is we're first going to dip the orchid in this mixture. Okay, and then I'm going to shake it out. Can you see? I'm going to shake it out. And I'm just going to dip 2 of them, okay? Because you want it to dry just a little bit. If they're soaky, then it's not going to work because your colors are going to run so fast and so bad that the whole thing will be covered. Hi, Christy. So again, this little container has my little drop of glycerin and my water. I did use cold water. Again, I don't want it so soft and so, runny that all the colors won't have a chance to go exactly where they need to be. Now, the positive about a Galaxy Orchid is that the colors can kind of run together and kind of not be perfect, and it still look good and right. So I'm just shaking off that excess, and I'm gonna work with the first one that I did here on my little paper towel, and I'm gonna have a paper towel over here too. So the first color you need is gonna be a blue. Now here's what I suggest you doing. So if you Google Galaxy Orchids, you'll have kind of different color shades. Some of them are more purple in the center and they go to a dark blue. Some of them are a light blue that go to a purple. Some have greens in them. And so I'm gonna do one that kind of has a bluey green center. It moves towards a purple and then ends with kind of a blue on the edge, okay? So if you want to Google and see them, then you can kind of look at your paints and mix and match the colors that you love in a Galaxy Orchid. But it doesn't have to be an exact color every single time, because Galaxy Orchids do have some differences in colors sometimes. So my first color I have here, and I use these little bitty cups because I don't need a lot and I don't want to waste my paint. And I put water and my drop of paint. So this is, I'm going to show you the color that I have, although again, it's better for you to mix. Just kidding. I can't even tell you because the name of it's written off. But it's a blue, and I put a little drop of teal in it too to kind of make it more of like a turquoise. Okay, so you're going for robin's egg blue, turquoisey kind of center. So we're gonna hold the back of our orchid and we're gonna dip in our paint. And remember, our flower is a little bit wet, so you're just gonna tap your brush on the center and kind of let it run down. Okay, so it's just gonna kind of spread its way out. And we're gonna do the center first. Again, if you wanted a little more teal, a little more turquoise, you can do that. And you can see that it might run up and down a little bit, and that's okay. Again, we want it wet because we want it to spread easy. And they will run into each other, but that's okay because that is part of the look. So I painted my little centers, and if you're using the Fifth Avenue orchids, you're gonna paint your centers the same way as well. And I'll just show it to you. So right now I've just got blue in the center, and then here's where we gotta be careful, a little bit careful. Again, if it runs extra, it's okay. These are very forgiving style flowers. I'm gonna tap my brush in my paint, I'm gonna start in the middle, and I'm gonna drag it out towards the end of the petal, but I'm not gonna go all the way because I'm gonna want a little white gap because that's gonna give us shading. I have a cat hair in here. This is the joys of having cats. Okay, so I'm gonna drag my brush from the center all the way out to the end, but leaving a gap. Okay, so I'm gonna take it from the center and I'm gonna run it across. Again, this is a 3-inch regular solid. I dipped it in a glycerin water mix to start. Okay, so before I started painting, I wet these flowers, and the glycerin is in that part. It is not in these little paints because that would be crazy trying to get just a drop of it in here. So it is in a glycerin water mix, but it's from a pre-dip that I did. Okay, so I'm just gonna run my brush, again, starting in the center, pulling it outwards. I'm using kind of like a robin's egg blue here. You can do a little more turquoisey if you want to, or a little more teal if you want to. And I'm gonna flip it because we don't want just the front to be painted. I'm gonna do the same thing on the back. I'm gonna just pull it not all the way to the end of the petal because I'm gonna want a little gap there, because when you leave gaps and you leave a little bit of the natural soliflower to show, you get some really nice shading, okay? So I did the back with my blue too. Okay, so we just did the blue and we pulled it out. What is your paint ratio? Catherine, I don't have a paint ratio because every single color is different depending on the strength of the color. So the less water you have and more paint you have, the stronger your color is, the closer it is to the actual paint container. The more water you add, the more translucent and watered down it will be. So you're gonna have to mix and match according to your colors. I never do a ratio because there is no set ratio for any color. Every single color is different. I always suggest people when they're mixing it and they're not used to, I obviously been doing it for about 5 years now, so my hands just do it the right for each color. But if you're practicing, I know some people will go, hey, I ruined 40 flowers with the color. Don't do 40 flowers when you start. Dip one flower and look at it first. See if it's the right potency. That's the word I'm looking for. See if it's the right color before you do an entire batch of flowers, okay? No ruining flowers, guys. Just practice until it's natural for you. But darker colors need more paint. Lighter colors, you can get away with watering it down a little bit more. But it really is a playing around game, and it's also what you want. If you like it to be more transparent, then, you know, water it down. If you like it to be a thicker color, then you're gonna just add more of that paint. Okay, yeah, I know, I love these little cups because then I'm not wasting a ton of stuff. So I did my blue first. I'm gonna move this to the side. And then I made a greenish teal kind of color, okay? All right, and again, these paints don't have any glycerin in them because it's such a tiny little bit of it, but this cup that I originally dipped it in, that has the glycerin in. Yeah, test flowers because I hate when I feel so bad when people say I ruined the whole thing because I thought my ratio was right. But just test it because it really is. Every color is different. Every paint is different. You know, even brands, even house paint is different from each other. We had to use Glidden this week, and it just was very different than the Bear. So now we're gonna take this tealy green color, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna tap the center. And let the paint dry completely before. Yes, Carla. That is correct. So I've got this green, teal, and I'm tapping it on the inside. And again, the Fifth Avenue flowers are kind of a similar thing. It has like a little center that you're gonna paint green. And then I'm just gonna touch my brush on the tip of these little sticky outy parts. I'm sure they have a real name to them, like an actual orchid probably has. I mean, it's not a stamen, so I don't know what these things are called. But I'm just touching them with this turquoisey green kind of color. You can even do brighter. Galaxy flowers can be bright. You know, the teals and the turquoise, a lot of times they, that's what they are on these orchids in real life. So I'm just gonna do that, okay? So I did my blue and I added my green to the center. I'm gonna add a little bit more on the inside of these guys just to make it bright. And again, as we do this and it's kind of dripping through, it definitely does its own type of shading and blending, which is really great because you don't have to be some paint star to do it right. Okay, so do you see how I've got the green in the middle now layered over the blue? So I'm gonna move my green out of the way. And now I'm gonna come in with my purple. So now I'm gonna do the reverse. When I started with the blue, I started on the center and pulled it out. Now I'm gonna start on the outside of my petals with the purple and pull it in, but I'm not gonna go all the way to the blue, okay? If it runs in it, let it do that. But I'm not gonna purposely bring my purple down into the blue. I'm gonna let it blend naturally and hopefully get some white highlights in there as well. So I'm gonna take it on the outside and I'm gonna drag it on the edge of my tip of my petal here. And again, it will run down, but I'm not pushing it down, okay? Just doing a little tap, tap. I'm gonna show you it up close so you can see the purple will run, but there will be a little bit of white between the blue and the purple. That's what you want because that's kind of a natural shading. I'm gonna do the same thing on the back of the petals. It just makes it more natural. It makes it so it's not stripy. You want it to kind of just bleed and run into each other. So I'm gonna go around on each petal and I'm gonna just touch the brims. If you do a little tap too, yes, it's definitely, basically it is water painting. I'm just gonna tap it and then it kind of bleeds itself. Okay, I don't wanna go heavy-handed and just drag all these colors across. And again, let it do its own little drip, because that is what makes it look more realistic. When you try to paint stripes and things like that, that's when it starts to not be so realistic. So I'm gonna just, again, swipe it around the edge. I'm gonna tap it so it bleeds a little bit. Can you see? Just add, you know, on your brush more to get it to bleed a little bit fuller here. Just tapping it off because I gotta flip, I wanna flip it, so I didn't want too much of it there. So I'm gonna flip it to do the back of the petals here. As you can see. I will hold it up close to the thing again too. So I'm doing the backs too. A lot of people sometimes forget about the back of the flower. But with an orchid, a lot of times you see both sides. How many? So this is not for a wedding. This is actually a gift for somebody's birthday. So it's going to be, actually, it's going to be mixed with peacock feathers. Tracy, I know you like peacocks. But this is actually was an order for these style of orchids with peacock feathers. So I only need to make like 10 or so of them. I do like doing this though. This is kind of relaxing, the water painting style. I really don't like dip dyeing. It's not really my favorite thing to do because it's just, you know, tedious more. This is maybe more tedious, but it's more like, I don't know, it's not as fun. This feels more artistic, so I like it better because I do like the artistic part of it. And so again, I'm just tapping it, topping up, letting the purple naturally fall into the blue and possibly leaving, again, I'm just patting it because I got to flip it over. Just letting it bleed into the blue, but also allowing it to be able to have some white spots if necessary as well. And if your flower starts to dry out too much, you can always get a little spritzer, okay? Like a little mister bottle. You don't want it to be too wet, but if your flower, if you're a little slow your first few times, you know, you're welcome to do that. So let me show you. Okay. So as you can see, you've got the green, it goes into the blue, there's a little bit of white, and it goes into the purple. And then the last step we're gonna do is a navy blue, just to make that purple a little darker on the very, very edges. So I'm gonna move that out of the way and take one more. And I will do one more of these just so everybody can see, but I'll do it a little faster instead of going so step by step, but in case anyone joined us now. So I'm gonna take this navy blue, and this is gonna be my outer brim. I'm not gonna let it bleed very far down. I'm literally just gonna tap the outside. Again, if you feel like you're getting too dry, then just spritz it a little bit, or just make sure that in your mixture, you're using more water than thick paint at the bottom. Okay. That's great. Dana, that's great. You know, I wish I could hand paint all my flowers. I definitely dye like 3,000 a week. So there's no way that I could possibly do this for all my orders, but we do sometimes need to hand paint, obviously, certain flowers, but that would be great. I'm excited. It's so fun, Carrie. Again, it's natural looking because it bleeds on its own. You gotta just touch it. Sometimes if it's a little thick, like this had a little bit of extra paint in it because I dipped a little far, you can use your finger. But I try to stick with the watery top in my cup. And again, I'm just layering it on. It's kind of like an ombre effect, except it's not, you know, the same color tone. You've got some of that greeny blue in there. Shaniqua, the dye is actually just paint and water. There is no special dye for Sola flowers. It literally is just paint mixed with water. So you can use different styles of paints. So you can use acrylic. Yes, I actually have a hydrangea video where I do the same thing with this. But this is not acrylic paint. This is Home Depot Behr brand house paint. Hey, Luann. So because it has, to me, better coverage than a craft paint. But you can use acrylics. And basically, again, the dye for a Sola flower is literally just paint mixed with water. Nothing special about it. And now I'm just going around the back. Again, just touching the tips with this blue. And on your screen, it's a little brighter because I've got this bright light obviously shining on us. It's a little bit darker here. But you can do, again, whatever kind of colors you want. Now, let's just say, you know, my blue overtook my purple. I just want to show you that you can go back. And this is just a layering. Yes, how cute would that be? This is just a layering effect. So let's say I want a little more purple. I can even go back again and let it drip out towards the blue. Okay, so basically, you know, the whole idea is that you're letting things kind of bleed on their own. You're layering the colors. And again, if you're trying to figure out what colors you want to use, then just Google Galaxy Orchids and, you know, hold up the picture next to your paints of the ones that you actually like. You can definitely do more of a tealy kind of color. Again, I want my outer tips to be the darkest. So I just kind of put that purple over the blue to blend it a little bit more. And then the inside is the bluey teal color. Okay. And that's that. So I'll do one more because we have some extra people on right now, but I'm going to do it very kind of quicker, obviously not talking so much step by step, but if you have questions, if you just joined, please ask. Okay, ready? This is my water and glycerin dip. So I'm gonna dip my flower in there. I'm gonna make sure she's shaken out. Make sure she's double dried because we don't want her too wet, because what happens if it's too wet is you got a lot of bleeding going everywhere. This is our 3-inch regular orchid in our raw Sola flowers category. We also have a Fifth Avenue collection orchid. I haven't looked to make sure that they're still in stock, but this is the one I wanted to use because I do like this style. I do like this style for the Galaxy orchids. Do you get Behr paint? That's the only place where you can get it, from a Home Depot. Behr brand is a Home Depot exclusive indoor house paint. And that is where I go, and you get the little trial sizes here. Let me show you. And I use satin finish for mine. And basically they come in these, and this can do about 100 or so flowers, depending on the colors. If it's darker, sometimes a little less. If it's lighter, it can do a little bit more. All right, starting with my blue. Again, you're gonna pick what color blue you like. If you want turquoise, if you want teal. I did more of a robin's egg. I'm gonna start in my center. I'm gonna cover up the center there. Make sure that you stir it up, you know, when you're about to use it, because all my paint color is kind of on the bottom now. So I just stirred it with my brush. I don't even wash my brush out between each color because, again, it's going to be blended anyway. So I just wipe it on my little paper towel here. Okay, so I covered that with the blue. And now what I'm going to do is take my blue, I'm going to stick it in the bottom, and I'm just going to pull straight up to the outside of my petals. So you can, satin finish. Catherine, it's satin. You know how there's like matte, satin, semi-gloss. I use either satin, sometimes semi-gloss too, depending if satin's out, but I don't like to use the matte. That sometimes is a little too dry, so I like to use satin. Okay, so I'm taking my blue. Again, I'm doing robin's egg blue, And I'm taking it from my center and I'm pulling it out. I'm not going to the very end of my petals at all because I am going to even want such a natural kind of even white fade at some of the parts of it. And again, when you're wet like this, it just bleeds naturally because the Sola plant is an absorbent type of plant. They are foamy feeling. If you've never felt a Sola flower, they feel like foam because it's a starchy plant. And so what happens when you wet it, it absorbs your color. And oops, I got a little blow on the edge. Oh well. It absorbs it and it spreads it kind of for you. So I'm just adding the blue to the back. Oh yeah. So there's so many pretty Valentine's colors. I definitely like, you know, some of those hot pinks and reds there. Fun to pick. And they're all in that one little strip there. Okay, so I did my blue. Now I'm coming in with my green. So it's kind of like a tealy green, and I'm gonna just touch into the centers here. And again, if you need to add some water to water it down, you can do that if you stuck your brush into too thick of the paint. So I can just add this. You can use a spray bottle to make things bleed more naturally. And the center gets a little bit of this darker teal color. But if you wanted to do the teal so here's another thing. So if you want to do the teal instead of that robin's egg blue, then you could always do like a lime green center just for it to pop. I'm gonna add a little bit more of my blue real fast. There we go. Because I don't think I stirred it up enough. You couldn't really see it. Again, letting it bleed naturally. And then we're gonna come in with the purple. So once we do our centers, we're gonna do the reverse with the purple. Instead of starting on the inside, we're gonna start on the outside. Thanks, Erica. Okay, so we're gonna start on our outside and just drag it across and let it bleed down. It can bleed down into the blue, or it can leave a little gap. Again, let it do things kind of naturally. The less we control with the bleeding, the more natural it looks. Around the circle here. Again, we're going to do the outer tip, and then I just tap it in. The outer petals. Again, letting it bleed on its own. And you can put these, so I have other orchid videos if you're wanting to see how I stem them. So you can just put them on a regular wire and stem like you would any other flower. Or you can buy a cheapy silk orchid off of Amazon. Stems, they have really cheap ones actually. If you just get the stem, not like in something, if you just get loose stems, and I pop the silk heads off and I glue my wood flowers off, and it looks really realistic. And you would use 3-inch ones and 2-inch ones. The 2-inch ones go on the end obviously, and the 3-inch ones go in the center. And I'll take a picture and put it in the community group of this project when it's done. So I did my purple. And now I'm gonna come back with my navy blue. And I'm just gonna go on the very, very, very rim because I don't really want it to look blue necessarily. I just wanna deepen that purple. So I'm gonna go the very, very brim of my flowers. And when you have a whole little bouquet of these, oh, it looks so great. It's so fun. And you can paint any flower like this. I mean, this is the best way to water paint your flowers, is to do a dippy and a brushy process. I do have videos. I have them on YouTube and obviously this page under the videos tab on how to do the same thing with hydrangeas, how to do the same thing with multiple styles of flowers, but I thought this one would be fun, little added to it. I'm gonna just, again, go the outside. I don't wanna forget the back because, you know, there is definitely a possibility you're gonna see the back. You don't wanna just have a white flower in the back and the whole front is painted. So I am doing the back, and then we have that. And again, with this ring light, it's a little bit, it shows a little bit, the coloring is a little off, and as well as like seeing kind of, it looks, I don't know. For some reason, the ring light picks up streakies, but they're not, they don't look like that in real life. So bear with the fact that we have a light. Now I'm going back in again with the purple like I did the first one so that it's not always so blue at the very end. I just want it to look more like a darker purple. So I'm gonna go in, tap them, and then we have that, okay? And again, you can do any flower like this in any colors for isn't that what they're called? Gradation. So could you imagine a whole bouquet of these? Again, these are darker in person. They're pretty bright on your screen, but they are darker because you want to stick with some of the darker colors, darker purples, darker blues. So it's probably a couple shades different because I have this very shiny white light on me. But as you can see, they would be so pretty all together. Again, this is going with some peacock feathers, but you can just put this on a regular plant, an orchid plant. Again, Amazon has kind of cheaper ones, and you can just buy a fake silk cheapy one in a container. Actually, I've seen them at Home Depot, even on sale, and you pop the silk heads off and you put your pretty wood flower heads on, and that would make even a beautiful gift, even for Valentine's. Valentine's doesn't have to be pink and red, doesn't have to be roses. Orchids are a really great Valentine's gift because orchids are just a very popular home decor item, especially these days. Orchids have been pretty popular. So here's how we make our galaxy, and you just stem them, you know, like a regular flower. They have their little bitty nub in the back, and you hot glue that and stick it on if you're going to do a wire stem and just have it on a stem. If you're going to do it on the plastic stems, you just basically stick the nub that you pulled your silk one off and you hot glue it right into the back there. So that is how we water paint our galaxy orchids. Sorry again, it was so late. I was having technical difficulties. I got a new phone. I swear to goodness, it's the size of an iPad, but it's really good for when you have a business and you need to see things and type things up even on your phone. But I had a hard time figuring out how to hook it up to my light without it just flopping around like crazy. So we're good now. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I would love to see what you guys hand paint. Remember that we have our community group, which is facebook.com/groups/lovesouloflowers. And if you go on there and you can show off all your skills there, we love to see what everyone does after they watch our videos. And it is a fun way. Of course, you can't maybe just do this with thousands of flowers, but if you pick one flower, let's just say you're a bride and you pick one flower to do hand painting, it really changes the whole look of a bouquet, because you could have all these solid colors and then, you know, just a couple different flowers that are hand painted, and it will really stand out. It makes your whole thing look more realistic, even if it's just one style of flower. You can do the same thing with peonies or any other flower with this kind of water thing. You dip it in the water solution and then do the hand painting. So we look forward to seeing all your things. Please post them. Don't forget, we are having a sale if you need some orchids. That's lovesouloflowers.com on our website. There's no code necessary for the sale that is currently going on. And again, these are our regular orchids. And then we have this Fifth Avenue ones, which have more of a rounder tight bud. I do suggest this style if you're going to do the galaxy ones. Okay? All right, everyone. Have a wonderful night and a perfect weekend. We are supposed to have a snowstorm here in New Jersey, and I'm not really prepared for it. I did go grocery shopping, but I do not like to be snowed in, but that what might be happening. So I might be doing a whole lot of painting of these, which is one excuse when you're staying in to get stuff done. But I hope you all have a wonderful weekend, and we will see you next week. Bye, everyone.